right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA podcast. My name is Keith. Got Dave DuFour coming up in a little bit. We're going to pick some NBA All-Stars in the preseason, but right now I'm joined by John Burr. John, how's it going?
Did you say Dave Duffer, the Danny Green fluffer?
The huge Danny Green man, our good buddy, Dave DuFour. That's right. Yeah, he's coming on.
He is to Danny Green what we are to Melton.
He's to Danny Green what I am to Melton, what I also was to Kyle Anderson before him, what I also was to
Who's
Andrew
be the
Harrison
new guy
before that.
Andrew Harrison.
I don't know. I was kind of joking.
And spoiler, Tony Roten.
Yeah, so this is a dark day. So peek behind the scenes for everybody. John and I are recording this on Thursday. This episode's not coming out until Friday. But on Thursday, as John and I sit here right now, our hero, Tony Allen, has been arrested by the feds along with 17 other former players and also Tony Allen's wife for committing healthcare fraud and or wire fraud.
First team all defraud, baby.
This is terrible. Awful news.
Good news. Instead of Tony Allen bobblehead night, we're actually having Tony Allen medical voucher night at FedEx Forum, I think. I don't know if that maybe that wasn't a real tweet. No, I mean it's not great. I blame Glen Big Baby Davis.
So the players involved is an absolute kind of Hall of Fame iconic list of just guys, just journeyman dudes you remember. Shout out Defector Media. Let's remember some guys. This list, I mean, it's headlined by Tony Allen. You got Glen Big Baby Davis. You got Shannon Brown. You got Tony Roten. You got Milt Palacio, Ruben Patterson, Sebastian Bassi Telfair. I mean,
who's been in trouble before?
Terrence Williams.
Terrence Williams apparently the ringleader. This is my favorite part. They list all the names, and then next to Chris Douglas Roberts, Memphis legend,
CDR.
It just says AKA Supreme Bay.
I think that's his legal name now. I think Supreme Bay is his legal name. So I mean,
okay, never mind. I guess if I had a weird hyphen and it made my name seem like a rewritable CD-ROM, I would change my name.
I mean, this is a guy for Tony Allen, obviously Memphis legend, supposed to have his jersey retired this January for the Grizzlies, and I feel like that's got to be up in the air now. But this is just, again, this is breaking news. So I don't know what things are going to change in the next 24 hours, what's going to come out in the next week. They allegedly, they falsified insurance documents to get reimbursed from the NBA retired players health fund.
This just sounds like normal healthcare shenanigans.
It just sounds like going to the doctor, honestly.
Yeah,
I mean, this is clearly falsifying, services to get paid by a health insurance company is the sole proprietorship of a hospital. Like that's all hospitals do. So it's weird they got arrested. It feels like, I don't know. I mean,
to get arrested is very telling.
Well, I mean,
to arrest his wife is very telling.
I assume this is a thing where, when the federal government can prove something, they do it. They're like, yeah, let's get this. Let's close this case. Also big names, NBA stuff, you get publicity. But yeah, it's just a mess. And it's I feel like it's a dark day. Whatever happens. And even if they're exonerated, this is my all-time favorite NBA player. Whatever happens, you don't want him to get arrested by the feds, right?
To me, this is just another delightful footnote in the annals of Tony Allen history.
I mean, I don't know. I'm having trouble enjoying it. I mean, like if you just told me like it's Darius Miles, Jamario Moon, Melvin Eli, I'm ready to make a big three joke, and then I see Tony Allen, and I'm like, oh.
As a man with priors, I just feel closer to the man now. I got the identification going on.
I'm even wearing an All Heart Grit Grind T-shirt right now. I'm not taking it off.
Oh, well, I feel for those who are watching on YouTube, it has taken all of one preseason game for me to completely lose my mind and get out every piece of Grizz memorabilia, including fanny packs that match. And I'm just all out. It took one preseason game the new look Grizz, the new vibe Grizz. I've been swept off my feet.
Yeah.
This may be the worst case of I told you so's a season can ever have. Honestly, the world needs the Grizz to fail so that my head doesn't explode.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Also, one of those Grizzlies fanny packs that you have, we still have a lot of those left over whenever COVID allows us to have watch parties again in Nashville. We'll be giving away some of those old Vancouver style Grizzlies throwback fanny packs. Also, I should tell, we got our fantasy leagues coming up. We got to take care of a little bit of business to tell our listeners about our fantasy basketball leagues. We started splitting up the leagues. John, you have your league. Chuck has a league. I got my league. You should be contacted if you're a Patreon supporter and you've already signed up. You should be hopefully have already been contacted by the time you hear this episode. If you still want to play fantasy basketball with us in like a regular head-to-head redraft league, there are spots available. We will find you a spot. We will start even more leagues if needed to make sure everyone can get taken care of. If you want to sign up, you got to be a Patreon supporter. Go to patreon.com/fastbreak breakfast. The fantasy basketball post is pinned to the top of the page. So just fill out that form. You got to make sure at the $5 and up mark. Also, if you want to play in addition to a regular head-to-head league, you want to play in the negative fantasy basketball league. That draft is on Sunday, October 17th. We'll allow signups to that right up until maybe 1 hour before draft time, because there is no cap on the number of players you can play in that. It's a negative. No cap. It's a negative. Thank you, John. It's a negative fantasy league where you get points when your guys miss shots, when they commit turnovers, when they get ejected, you get a huge bonus. If you foul out, you get a bonus.
If the guys on this indictment, the guys who were just arrested, were still in the league, these are the type of guys you want. For your
also, not to get too Grizzly centric, Dylan Brooks is a great pickup. Great
yes.
pickup. There are some concerns. He's getting more efficient based on the end of last season, but with the fouls and all the missed shots, a very strong player in negative fantasy. I still think
he's still who you want.
I still think Killian Hayes and Pokashevsky are probably our top two picks this year, only because PJ Tucker nursing a groin injury and might not get that much playing time anymore in Miami. So if you want to play fantasy with us, you got to join the negative fantasy league, or if you want to play a regular league, we still have spots available. Make sure you go to patreon.com/fastbreak breakfast. Also, John, so Dave and I, we're gonna pick our all-stars for the year. We're gonna try to use the parameters, which is you only get 6 guards, essentially a maximum of 6, because you get 2 in the starters, 2 on the reserves, and there's that flex spot for 2 more. And like, even though we all think John Morant's going to get in, it's hard when you come down to 6 guards. Are there any players this year? I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. Are there any people who you think have a chance of making the All-Star game that have been left out recently? I know in our season preview show earlier this week, you were thinking Karl Anthony Towns might be a good sleeper for an MVP pick at 100-1. But yeah, who's someone you think is going to make it?
I think Carl is a great pick. And then also I like SGA out of Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
I think that could be a big impediment to Ja, actually. But after one preseason game, I'm now certain John Morant will be an all-star. Year 3 leap, baby. Written in the stars. Jaren Jackson Jr. might be defensive player of the year. I'm not sure what's happening. I know. He's playing free safety now. I don't understand what's going on. The Titans need him. I can't be trusted right now about the Grizzlies, but I can say all Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has to do is be allowed to play the correct number of games, and he should be a very easy all-star. He's that good, and statistically much better than some guys who've made the team in years past.
Yeah, that's a good pick. And last year, again, his stats were unreal for the time he played. Yeah. It just comes down to will they allow them to try to win some basketball games? Anyway, John, appreciate you stopping by, and talk to you next week.
Take care. Grit, grind, all heart.
All right, man.
You got to put the Tony Allen thing back in the shows now.
I've been putting it back. It's been back for a while.
Oh man. Cool.
I'm joined right now by my good buddy, the legend, Coach Dave DuFour. Dave, how's it going?
Am I a legend at this shit?
No, you're not. I mean, you're not. It's obviously.
I'm a legend.
You're a legend to me.
I'm a legend to a lot of people around the world, but I'm not famous enough to be like a legend.
You're a legend circa. No, yeah, you're not. Sorry.
I mean, well known, maybe.
There we go.
People tell tales.
We're gonna have you help me. Actually, we're both gonna do it. We're both gonna pick our predictions for who's gonna make the All-Star game this year. We've done this exercise before.
We have.
Yeah. I thought it was last year. It wasn't. It was 2 seasons ago.
2 years ago.
Last year,
our
mutual buddies. Oh wow. Good recall. No, last year our mutual buddies, Sean Keen and Joey Devine, helped me out. We were pretty accurate. We did a good job. These things, barring injury, there aren't a lot of slots available. So that kind of makes it easy. There's like some definite, these are the best players in the NBA. They're going to be in the All-Star game. So we're going to do that and just try to figure out who fills in the final spots. But before we get there, it'd be rude of me not to ask you about your breakfast, Dave.
You know, I was listening to your episode with John Hollinger the other day. Great show, by the way. And we had John on Nerder this week. So, you know, over at The Athletic right now, you can hear him. And I forgot to talk to him about Korean breakfast because I lived in South Korea for a year and I walked to work every day. And one of my favorite things to do was stop at this one little cafe and I would just eat whatever they brought me.
Well, it's good you didn't ask him about his breakfast because then I would have to send you a cease and desist.
I know.
Because I've clearly established that talking about the NBA and breakfast. If you ask a guest about breakfast,
it is your thing.
I've got a lawyer coming on later in the show and he will listen. He will lend me his letterhead. I'm just kidding. He won't do that, guys.
He's ready.
If the feds are listening, he will not lend me his letterhead to write a falsified notes. No, let's get to these All-Star. Breakfast.
My breakfast.
Sorry, your breakfast.
My breakfast. Same that it is every day. And you always give me a hard time for this, but you know, just a nice black coffee. Good black coffee. I'm drinking Wandering Bear. Cold brew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, pretty good. I ordered it off the internet, just like everything, you know, I saw it on Instagram while I was looking elsewhere for cold brew. Just
when you see something offered to you on Instagram, do you click the ad or do you just go to a browser window and then open up that thing? Listen,
like a normal human being.
I do that, but but Instagram knows.
Yeah, they know.
Like they know because I get these shoes advertised to me and I'm like, oh, I love that shoe. I want to have it. And then I open up a window on my computer, but like Instagram knows, I think they know.
I don't use Facebook and I don't go on Instagram on my computer. And I've been getting ads for stuff that I've looked at on my computer, on my phone. So like, you know, they have more power than the government. Maybe that's not great.
We're going to get to the All-Stars. I want to tell you about the time Instagram sold me a suit. All right. I had a buddy get married earlier this year, like 5 months ago. And I was like, I need dress clothes. I don't have I didn't have a suit that even fit. And so I was like, I'm gonna go buy a suit. So I go to the store. I go to Macy's department store, and I'm just looking through the clearance suits. They got some nice stuff. Maybe the downturn during the pandemic shopping felt like a lot of great deals. And so I was like trying these suits on that were like, you know, kind of nice. I don't remember the brands. It was like Ralph Lauren and like Tommy Hilfiger or something. I was trying these things on, and I'm like, you know, these are pretty good, and they didn't cost that much. They were like $150. And I know I'm discount shopping at a department store, but I was still like, fine price, totally fair. And they were so cheap. I'm like, should I get 2 suits? And then I was like, that's ridiculous. I haven't worn a suit in 5 or 6 years. I don't know the next time I'll wear a suit after this wedding. So I tried on 2. There was one. I'm like, I don't need 2 suits. I'm going to put it back. All right. So then like later I'm looking at Instagram and the suit I put back on the rack is advertised to me on my Instagram. And at the store, it was like $150. On Instagram, it was like, hey man, that blue suit you tried on, it's now $120. And I was looking at it like, that's nuts. Like, how do they know that I tried this suit on? So then I'm like, but still, I don't need to buy it. The next day, no joke, the Instagram ad was like, hey man, you know that suit that was $120? No, it wasn't on Instagram. It was on like a Google ad. Like I'm on Basketball Reference, you know, like the Google ad space. It was like, hey buddy, you know that suit you tried on that we offered to you for $120 yesterday? It's now $90. And I was like, all right, robot overlords, I'm going to buy it. but it blew my mind that they offered me the suit and they lowered the price based on one day to the next day.
I deleted my Instagram before. I'm back on. I think Instagram's fun, but I deleted it because I was randomly in camping and was talking to my wife about, it'd be fun is if we found a place that does helicopter rides. We were up in northern Arizona.
Yeah.
And I just said this to her, my phone is in my pocket.
Yeah.
And then I had ads for helicopter rentals. Yeah. And all right, that's a bit too much.
It's too much.
Yeah. I mean, but at this point,
you're not supposed to creep out the customer. You're supposed to.
Did you watch Parks and Rec? Do you know all right, the series of scenes where, Ron Swanson finds out that everything about him's on the internet and he throws his computer. I feel that way about 7 times a day. I'm not a natural error.
Well, now you're leaning into the stereotype that you are the Ron Swanson of NBA podcasters. That's been out there for a while.
It's just because we both have beards now.
Yes. You're good with your hands. You work with wood.
Mm-hmm.
You have violent libertarian leanings. I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't go that far.
I know. No.
Not the libertarian.
The punchline to the suit. I got the suit. The sizes were it was way wrong. It was it was the size. It said the pants were a 33, 34. Not even close. I couldn't
going to an outlet.
Yeah, it was I couldn't come close to it was I needed based on this pants, I needed this way bigger pants. I'm this is not the right size even. So I sent it back. And
outlet shopping like that, it used to be oh yeah, this shoe is a size 11 and this one is a mystery.
Right. It says 11. Turns out it's an 8. We messed up. That's why it's discounted. Anyway, let's get to these All-Stars. Let's start in the Eastern Conference. We are restricting ourselves to the parameters that the NBA uses, which you have these starters that are voted on by the fans, the players, and the coaches, and they have their formula that weights the fan vote more heavily. And it has to be 2 guards and 3 front court players. And then on the bench, you're allowed to have 2 guards, 3 front court players, and then 2, wild cards / flex spots that can go to anyone. So that's very restrictive. I think we can agree. Tell me if you agree. Starters, I think starters are going to get voted no matter what in the East. Definitely James Harden, definitely Giannis, definitely Kevin Durant, definitely Joel Embiid. Yeah, that
feels pretty good.
Last year, Kyrie was voted in as the starter. I think it's pretty safe to say he won't be this year.
Yeah, I don't think so.
If he misses about half the games. So we're in agreement there. Who would you say is the 5th starter that you think gets voted in?
Trae Young.
That's how I feel. I think Trae Young as well. Trae Young was the starter 2 seasons ago last year with the All-Star game being hosted in Atlanta. He did not make the team. And then when Durant missed the game with an injury, he was not even named the replacement. Trae Young did not make the All-Star game last year, folks. Anyway, I think obviously based on his finals or his Eastern Conference Finals performance, that will not be repeated. I do think he gets voted in. So
that wouldn't happen in David Stern's NBA.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think bench is much harder. I
might have cornered myself here on the bench because.
Okay, so who are your bench guys?
Well, I went Heat heavy, man, because I think the Heat are going to be in that 2, 3, 4 range, depending on what other teams are doing, how their older guys, how much they rest their guys. I've got Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, and Bam Adebayo all getting in. Now, Kyle Lowry is, to me, Kyle Lowry is almost a lock because all the Toronto fans are going to be voting for Kyle Lowry to make the All-Star team too. So
maybe
he's going to have a big push behind him.
I think Goran Dragic is going to split that vote.
And so I've got those 3 guys. I think they're going to have a good season. I think the defense is going to be pretty good, so they're going to get a lot of buzz. Jason Tatum is a lock, but I also think Jaylen Brown's going to be in there. Jaylen Brown, if he really pops off, maybe he sneaks in as a starter, but he'd have to really pop off. But Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Bam Adebayo, Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler. That's my 5 on the bench. And then I've got Zach LaVine and Pascal Siakam as the last 2 guys. I think Pascal Siakam is going to have a really good opportunity, as long as OG doesn't kind of overtake him as the league creator. But I think Pascal's got a pretty good opportunity there to put up like 25 a game and really do something. And if Toronto is better than we expect, it'll be because of him. So I think he'll get a lot of attention for that.
So I think a very notable snub. No Bradley Beal.
No Bradley Beal,
who was snubbed 2 years ago. Last year, no Bradley Beal. I think the Wizards could be maybe terrible again. I know Vegas isn't expecting a lot from them. I saw they were like plus 450 to make the playoffs, which I thought was a little longer than I would have anticipated. But you got no Bradley Beal. You have no Julius Randle, breakout from last year. I'm similar to you. So Dave, this also reminding folks the Heat.
No Kemba Walker, by the way.
No Kemba Walker. So that can be a
Kemba is a guy. If he's on my list, right?
Yeah.
If he's good, Kemba, I think could sneak in.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, just because he's going to have the Knicks.
Yeah.
Sort of push behind him. Yeah.
So I lean heavily to you going back to the Heat players, because I was going to remind people the Heat got no All-Stars last year because Jimmy Butler missed some games. I guess the coaches felt he missed too many, even though he missed like 3 more games than some guys who made it. It was weird. No Bam Adebayo, no Jimmy Butler. I think there's a course correction. I think the Heat are probably going to be, at least top 5 in the East come the All-Star break or when the teams are picked. So I do think a course correction, you get Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo back in there. I also have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I have Bradley Beal. Brown has to go. I guess is Jimmy Butler. I think he gets counted as a forward.
I have him as a guard.
I think he was a forward last year.
Okay.
So that helps us out. And then my last one, I think it's going to be Zach LaVine.
Yeah, I have Zach.
So our
difference is what I've got Kyle Lowry and I've got Pascal Siakam, and you've got Beal.
I've got Beal and Jaylen Brown.
I have Jaylen Brown.
And then so I'm counting Brown and Beal as my guards.
Okay.
And then I'm counting Zach LaVine as a flex.
Same. Yep.
And then make sure I got this right. Tatum, Adebayo. I wrote my things weird. Obviously, we're leaving off Ben Simmons, who made it last year. We're leaving off Nick
I will
Vucevic.
also say another guy that I left off who could make it, LaMelo.
I think there's a lot of guys who could make it that we left off.
The league kind of is awesome right now. Like, this is like a great problem to have where it's like, man, I'm snubbing people that I like because there's just so many people that are just locked in. Again, those top 4, Harden, Giannis, Durant, and Embiid, like those guys that's the All-Star team every year. And I mean, Tatum is basically in that list, just positionally kind of gets forced onto the bench, but
so I don't think I said my 12th, or if I did, I misspoke. I have Chris Middleton.
Ooh, okay, I like it.
Who was I thought a huge snub last year along with Trae Young. So my 7 reserves are Bradley Beal, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Zach LaVine, Chris Middleton. As you're talking about, the league is so good right now. I think the Knicks, they might get squeezed because Julius Randle. I also think Kemba Walker and then RJ Barrett. And if the coaches are like, who do we pick among that? Maybe, one doesn't get selected. The Raptors are a confusion for me. I think Pascal Siakam can make it again. I think Fred VanVleet, like maybe he would get the nod if the team competes. On paper, I think they're as good as basically anybody outside of the top, maybe 3 or 4 teams in the East. But there's this questions of, are they going to even try to compete? I think, like, what if Colin Sexton's averaging 30 points per game? like would he get some, would he get some love? I don't know. Like
it feels like we just need more all-star spots, right? Like
that's an argument.
15 and 15 and let's just have fun with it.
Although the last 2 seasons, I think there's been 27 and 26 All-Stars because of all the injuries. Last year, hilariously, Devin Booker was named a replacement and then he got replaced and somehow he still gets counted as an All-Star, even though he wasn't named to the team.
It's like an honorary award.
Yeah, it's like
that seems like the best of both worlds, right?
I mean, I guess.
Because LeBron went all the way to Atlanta and barely played, right?
Yeah.
Seems like it would have been nicer to just not have to go. And I like Atlanta, but
yeah, I don't think we're snubbing anyone else. I mean, DeMar DeRozan felt very snubbed last year in the West.
I don't care if I'm snubbing anybody or not. It's,
these are, I think these are solid guys.
Yeah.
These are,
yeah.
I have
There's just a lot of good players.
I don't feel bad. And also most of these guys are getting in because Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving are being weird.
Right.
Like if Ben Simmons and Kyrie Irving were just their normal selves, sorry, I'm kicking two of you other guys off this team. All right. So your final squad for clarity, I want to make sure I got this right. I didn't do a good job of writing this down. You had Jaylen Brown, Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Jason Tatum, Pascal Siakam, and Zach LaVine.
Yes.
Those are your reserves. We both have the same starters: Trae Young, James Harden, Giannis, Kevin Durant, Joel Embiid. My 7 reserves: Jaylen Brown, Brad Beal, Jason Tatum, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Zach LaVine, and Chris Middleton. Let's move to the Western Conference. I think the Western Conference is kind of screwed up that they list Luka Doncic as a guard. I feel like that messes a lot of things up. I feel like this position system is archaic. Did I go too high on the volume?
No.
Adam Silver,
listen,
fix this, man.
I agree with you.
Why do I have to pick between? This is like, listen, if you're playing in a fantasy basketball league and you're still using like small forward, shooting guard, power forward, no, man. Just put some players on the court. Players on the court. I feel like they should do that for the All-Star game.
But I actually think, Jalen Rose, his line about positions being for novices, he's right. It does make it like for someone that doesn't understand a sport, those positions help with help your brain organize things. You can say, all right, this guy plays like this because I know that that's what he is. Now, obviously LeBron is a forward and that just doesn't mean anything. Don't act like they're not doing this so that they can have Luka and LeBron and, you know what I mean, all going up for awards without competing with each other too directly. Yeah. I mean, come on.
But if LeBron's not a guard, like it seems, I know Luka dribbles more, but also they're sort of similar. They're just like, they're the guy with the ball. They're like the best player with the ball. Anyway, the West starters, I think, are going to be, we got 4 slam dunk locks from last year for the starters. Once again, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic as guards. Weird. Then LeBron and Jokic. Kawhi Leonard unavailable this year. Who do you have? Who are you guessing gets voted into that starting spot in the front court?
I've got Anthony Davis as a starter. I just think that, again, it's the power of the Lakers, and Anthony Davis is also pretty damn good. So wouldn't surprise me if he gets just picked as a starter. Right? He's at that level of guy.
I wrote Anthony Davis also for the starter. For ease of use, I will stick with that. I could see a world where Zion, if the Pelicans are any good, where Zion gets all the votes, gets in there. I could see a world where Paul George is the most deserving guy, but also Clippers have no fans, so he wouldn't get voted on. So that wouldn't really work. But we're saying our starters: Curry, Doncic, LeBron, Anthony Davis, Jokic. I think on the bench, I think Damian Lillard, Paul George, and Zion are locks. Do you feel that way?
I agree. I have all 3 of those guys.
Okay. Is Gobert a lock for you?
I don't have him on my list.
All right. So who do you have? Give me your reserves.
I have Ja Morant.
Love it.
Thanks. Yeah. Well, listen, know your audience. I have Ja Morant. I think this is kind of the next step for him. And I actually think Memphis is going to be better than we expect this season because of Ja. And then Jaren being able to develop is going to help Ja quite a bit. So I think Ja Morant makes it. And I've got Karl Anthony Towns.
Oh, you're on the Karl Anthony Towns bounce back. John from our previous episode this week.
Yeah.
Also on the Karl Anthony Towns is going to bounce back.
It helps that I'm just rooting hard for him as like a person. But he's a good player. And
he's amazing.
And this is right. Like we just continuously forget about him. And I think a normal season, that team should be a little bit better. They got a better coach like all year. We'll see how it goes. But I think Karl Anthony Towns certainly has the talent to be on that list. And then I have Russell Westbrook.
Ooh.
Because, look, man, the Lakers are going to be really good, and Russ is going to look awesome, at least for the first, well, maybe not even the first half of the season, because last year, he came in with that quad injury, didn't look great until right. It was late, and then he did look good down the stretch.
Awesome. Yeah, he carried that team.
Yeah, and then Donovan Mitchell, who I think.
Man, I thought you were going to snub the whole Jazz, and I was going to be excited for it.
No. Yeah. Donovan Mitchell and Paul George, to me, like those are some dark horse MVP guys. Like if if Utah can run the table and be like the 1 seed again, no, this doesn't mean they're the best team in the West, but the regular season results.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's definitely,
and Mitchell,
very reasonable.
He's able to do that high volume at a good enough efficiency that, if he scored 30 points a game this year, I wouldn't be shocked.
Not at all. I'm actually looking at this. I don't know what the record is for the most 30-point scorers in a season, but like I'm looking at these players and there's just a ton of guys who you could envision averaging 30 points per game. I mean, Donovan Mitchell, Karl Anthony Towns, Zion Williamson, like I said earlier, like Colin Sexton, like why not? And then you have your normal guys, Luka, James Harden,
Steph Curry,
Damian Lillard. Like there's so many guys. Like Paul George, I think is going to be like upper 20s. Like
for sure. I mean, he's on a really good team and he's the best player, right? Like, and he doesn't have another star to take away attention and votes. Paul George can play at that level. Like we've seen it.
So you have, however, totally shunned one team that could
Phoenix
have the
Suns.
1 seed, in the West, the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker and Chris Paul, you said, no, thank you. I'd rather have Ja Morant on my team.
Well, yeah. I mean, don't you feel the same way?
So I know everyone in Memphis, including the GM, are assuming Ja Morant is going to be an all-star. But if you look at the guys who made it last year, we're not even considering Mike Conley, who made it as the replacement. If you just look at the guys, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Damian Lillard, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, like which one of those guys is he overtaking? And it's tough. And I feel like it wouldn't be surprising that Ja Morant is not allowed to overtake those guys, let alone these other guards, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or I don't know, Anthony Edwards or someone fun like who we're not even talking about. But I'll tell you who my reserves are. Like Lillard, Paul George, Zion Williamson. And then I have Devin Booker and Rudy Gobert. And then my flexes are Ja Morant and Donovan Mitchell. So I have Ja Morant edging out Chris Paul. Last year, Chris Paul was taken over Devin Booker. Like the coaches named Chris Paul. I guess my reasoning here is maybe Chris Paul will miss a few games. I don't know. I don't have a solid reasoning. I think the Suns are going to be way better than the Grizzlies. And I think Chris Paul is going to be really, really good. And maybe I'm just being hopeful that for some reason the coaches say, hey, let's get Ja in the game.
I also think Ja is going to, I think he's just going to have more of those jaw-dropping moments, right? Like, that's, I think with All-Star, that matters quite a bit more than we'd even give it credit for. Like, he's going to be doing stuff every night. Yeah, we're going to see. And like you said, with Chris Paul, like there are going to be nights where Chris Paul isn't playing because it matters more in April and May than it does, early on in the season.
Yeah, I have a hard time not saying you won't be right. You've been right before when I've been wrong. But right now in the preseason, I'm having a hard time seeing Westbrook making it over like a Chris Paul or a Devin Booker. But
I also am historically awful at these sorts of predictions. No matter
that's
how
not
much
true.
I'm pretty bad at it. I mean, well, like think about it, man. Like it's the factors that are at play, right? I mean, I'm watching the games. I'm not doing what you're doing. I didn't go look at the vote counts or anything.
Oh, well, it's all right.
I'm not as good at that part of this as you are, Keith.
Here's a name to throw out there, Dave.
Oh,
what if Ben Simmons gets traded west?
So
before the season starts,
right? Yeah. I think it depends on fit for him, right? Where he goes. If he were to go to Minnesota, for instance.
Oh, so if he goes to Minnesota, I think he would be a perfect fit. But then I think you would have him, and you're not putting Kat and Ben Simmons in,
right?
Unless the Wolves are like awesome, yeah.
Yeah, and between those two, I think Kat is going to be the guy who would be the driving force behind that team if they had success.
Yeah.
But if you could see like Golden State, he would be amazing there, right? Like and would really stand out and could do a lot of stuff with Steph that other guys, even Draymond, can't really do.
Right.
So I'm with you on that.
And
the Simmons thing is going to be disruptive to the league. Like if he goes to a team that's just nothing, all right, then it doesn't matter. But if he goes to Golden State, that's a huge deal. That's a game changer for the whole West.
I agree.
So I'm with you.
They would. Yeah. I think the fit would be unbelievable. I don't care about any concerns over Draymond and Ben. It would put a cramp on Draymond Green's All-Star bid, probably.
Sure.
Honestly, Draymond's if the Warriors are like a top 5 team in the West, he might make it in because I mean he's awesome and he's kind of beloved by coaches, like they recognize like his impact on winning. He's kind of a snub. I'm trying to think if there's any other Brandon Ingram, former All-Star. I don't think he has
De'Aaron Fox is interesting.
I mean, he scored 25 points per game last year.
Yeah, and the Kings were getting better as they got healthy during the season last year. That could be a team that's in that play-in mix along with Minnesota that sort of surprises us a little bit. Like if De'Aaron Fox had been healthy all year, good chance that the Kings were in the mix in that 9-10 range.
Yeah, so I don't think we've snubbed anyone else. DeAndre Ayton, maybe he take a big leap, but you didn't put any other Suns on there, so probably not. CJ McCollum, no, you're getting traded to the East. Sorry. Michael Porter Jr. What if Michael Porter Jr. averages 26 points per game or something?
Now, look, man, that's a guy. He's going to get shots.
So many points, yeah.
And he is going to shoot it. Like we know he's going to make those shots. So, and we're past the point of him getting pulled because of defensive concerns. That's over.
Yeah.
So he's going to have the minutes too.
Are you speaking, do you have Michael Malone's intel on that?
Bro, he just signed a fat max deal. I'm sorry. They those dynamics matter. Yeah.
But I mean, didn't they pull him out for things like, well, actually, technically, Dave, they pull out Jokic for defensive reasons.
For a worse defender.
Insanity.
They pull him for a worse defender.
They pulled him out at the end of that playoff game last year for defense, and they got the ball back, and they didn't have their best two players on the. They didn't. It was the dumbest thing. Yeah. Quit going offense defense with the MVP.
It's not baseball.
Yeah. All right. Finally, so your picks for the Western Conference, we both say Curry, Doncic, LeBron, Anthony Davis, Jokic are going to start. Your picks were Ja Morant, Damian Lillard, Paul George, Zion Williamson, Karl Anthony Towns, Russell Westbrook, and Donovan Mitchell. My picks: Damian Lillard, Devin Booker, Paul George, Zion Williamson, Rudy Gobert, Ja Morant, and Donovan Mitchell. Write it in stone.
That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good team.
If we miss by more than one, we're going to stop podcasting.
Well,
right? I'm saying it right now.
I'm in.
All right, you're in.
I'm in.
Love it. Dave,
Curry, Doncic, LeBron, Anthony Davis, and Nikola Jokic.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Put that up against literally anybody in NBA. You take your entire top 75 list, and I've got
those
my
five dudes.
I've got my five. My team's on the floor.
Stuff, the top 75 stuff has been hilarious to me because it's like I remember as a kid, 25 years ago when it was like, oh yeah, Dolph Shays. Sorry, man.
They better not do Dolph Shays wrong.
Don't look. We gotta separate the eras. They need to do decade teams because
if I've never seen you play a game of basketball after my age of 18, I'm sorry, I can't have an opinion on you.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I
agree. I say this all the time. I don't know if the stuff I've seen from Wilt is impressive for the time because a lot of it's in black and white. And when you see people just being able to run, it's like, wow, that's amazing.
I just look at the stats and I'm like, hey, how about this Kiki Vandeweghe guy? And people are like, get out of my face. I'm like, why? His stats are incredible. What did he do wrong? You're telling me you've watched
right
200 Kiki Vandeweghe games?
There's 3 people that I actually ask questions to, right?
Yeah.
Who have done the work, and I'm not one of them. Because number one, man, the footage is hard to find.
Yeah, how am I supposed to do this?
I also can't watch non-HD stuff anymore. It's really
there's a bunch of old NBA games on Amazon, on Prime Video, but it's all SD. And I'm like, nah, I don't want to watch the Suns game that bad. Nah. I watched it at the time. It seemed awesome. Anyway, Dave, thanks as always for hopping on. And I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, probably next Monday.
That's right. See you, bud.
See you.
All right. Thanks, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, man. That was fun. Later, buddy.
See you. All right. It's time for the last drop. I'm joined by my buddy, Carl. Can we use your full name?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. This is Carl Eppler. You're an attorney in Nashville, but certainly we have to provide a legal disclaimer. You're not providing legal advice. You're not involved in this.
That's right. That's right. This is not, we don't represent anybody. I don't represent anybody. I'm not a criminal lawyer, nor do I practice criminal law. So
thank you. Yeah. So we're just two buddies talking about a criminal case that's going on. Yeah.
Exactly.
Current event.
News item.
Some fun. News item. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now that we got that covered, you're a Grizzlies fan.
I am. Went to law school in Memphis.
And you went to law school in Memphis. There you go. So there was this big case. Tony Allen gets arrested. This is very upsetting. It's heartbreaking. Certainly. There's also, I guess some questions that maybe you can help me with.
Sure.
I guess first of all, let's go over some of the details of the crime, because if they weren't heartbreaking, they're actually kind of funny. Like if we could divorce ourselves from the players that we love being involved, there are some very bumbling criminal elements to this scheme.
I would agree. Yes, the multiple crimes. These are not Bond villains, I would not say, in their execution of the scheme. It all just comes down to money. So what it is there is a healthcare plan that the NBA players have. There's a portion of it that's funded by the teams, and it is for reimbursements for healthcare services that are out-of-pocket payments, right? Yeah. So a former player, or I think maybe current players too, they get some services. Chiropractic and dental is really where most of this points. And they might have to pay out of pocket. They get their invoice approved, from medical providers saying, hey, this was required. And then this plan pays them back. So what had happened here was Terrence Williams, the ringleader, got a, enterprising idea that I could probably make some fake invoices and get some tax-free money. And this started back in 2017. Now there definitely appears, based on the indictment here that we've reviewed, there definitely appears to have been inside folks, right? So Terrence Williams wasn't doing this on his own. There were definitely either people within the plan and also employees at these healthcare providers' offices. Now, these are not named defendants, so that starts to, indicate maybe we flipped somebody. We being the FBI, the Southern District, not me. Sorry. Yeah. Maybe somebody flipped, and this is how they got wind of it. Yeah. But so what happens? It starts in 2017. They start doing these things, where they're sending fake invoices. Terrence Williams is getting like template invoices, sending them to the other players that were indicted, and they're submitting them for reimbursement. First couple times it happens, it appears that these were all rejected because the invoices maybe weren't on letterhead.
They were so poorly done. Just like
it was not,
right. They were like, no, we're not paying this. Yeah.
After that, I think they got a little better at it. And then, it's like thousands of dollars at a time. It's like $40,000, say, of dental work,
Right. Some of the funniest mistakes are, you had our guy, Tony Allen and Tony Roten, Memphis former first round draft pick, who I believed in until at least last year that maybe he could still make it. And you had Glen Davis. They all submitted these invoices for the exact same work, the exact same teeth, all getting crowns, getting root canals on the exact same date.
Yeah. Roten and Tony Allen, it was like the same set of teeth, the same day the services occurred, and like the same office. So this is a red flag. And Big Baby Davis, he claimed to have gotten dental work in California on a day that he was definitely on a flight to Paris. And so they had like those records.
There was another guy,
GPS data.
That guy, Greg Smith, he submitted dental work for being performed in Beverly Hills when he played in a game in Taiwan on the date stated.
The day before, right?
Oh, the day before. They saw on the box score, you were in Taiwan.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, man, you played a game before this occurred in Beverly Hills and a couple days after. So, and they have emails, and so it's like it fell apart quickly, I think.
So a couple things about this. These seem to be so bumbling. Why does this take the Southern District of New York getting involved even? Like, why is this a federal case? It seems like because Tony Allen's were rejected, and apparently he'd already paid back like 80% of what, they'd given him $420,000, and they told him, hey, we've reviewed this. Like the NBA plan said, we've reviewed this, and these are not true. We need you to reimburse us. And apparently he reimbursed $350,000 of that. So why does then it get kicked up to, hey, let's make this a federal case and let's arrest people and put them in custody?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I would agree. That's a little bit of a silver lining for the grandfather there. He at least did right.
Okay, good.
He still owes about $70,000, but The other players, however, whose claims were rejected have not paid a dime.
Yeah.
So, I mean, overall, healthcare fraud, this is, from the Southern District of New York statement, healthcare fraud is like $1 billion loss. And, these are public plans, these are private plans, and both of them fall under, federal guidelines. And so there is a push to prosecute healthcare fraud. There's also wire fraud claims here. Wire fraud is where you basically just use a wire, which is either, the mail or a telephone or the internet, to defraud people of money. And those are also heavily prosecuted. So when you're looking at, I think, the policy of like, why are they pushing so hard on this if they're also getting their money back? It's just that they want to come down hard on these types of fraudulent activities. I also maybe speculate that this was an easy target.
Right. When your crime is so poor and so easily connected, this seems, that's the, not to make I was gonna say slam dunk. This seems to be a very easy, like you committed a crime very poorly. We have all the evidence we need. This, right. and also the publicity of you guys are basketball players. And so.
Right. Which should the SDNY be focusing on some other folks that they're not arresting? Probably. But, I mean, I don't make those policy decisions, and I've never, worked for the man.
I think there's some feeling among people, because we want to come to the defense of our favorite players a lot of times. We want to stick beside them. There's some talk like, hey, hospitals are committing healthcare fraud basically every day. And also some talk of like, is this sort of a victimless crime? I know that's not and legally you're not allowed to say, but my thought is, are they stealing from like they're stealing from a veterans fund? So maybe as NBA fans we should feel more offended as opposed to them stealing from like Aetna or something.
Right. These are not I mean, so you're talking about a lot of times you want to prosecute these type of claims because the people that are being defrauded are particularly vulnerable group, seniors, people that, don't have healthcare, et cetera. So you're right. This is like, well, these are kind of like high profile people, they have made probably a lot of money over the course of their career. Like what's going on here? I mean, they are defrauding a fund for all the players, and the teams are into it.
Yeah.
And, the union has negotiated that this is supposed to exist. So yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a little bit of like, again, was this like fish in a barrel and we're going after them and we just want to make examples of them?
Yeah.
Easy to get convictions, I mean, the potential sentences are pretty high, like healthcare fraud, you can get up to 10 years. Wire fraud, you get up to 10 years. Terrence Williams there's also like a aggravated identity theft, like in the kickback scheme, in which I think Terrence Williams has the worst case, right? So
things aren't looking great for him. Yeah.
No, he got like $230,000 in kickbacks from the other players. Tony Allen did not pay. So, I'm not sure why Tony Allen got around doing the kickback scheme, but at least he's not implicated in that.
I assume he said, "No, I'm not going to." I mean, it's weird because Tony Allen is like the I have to look into this. I'm thinking of like looking at all the guys indicted. He might have made the most money. Maybe Darius Miles actually made the most money in as far as their NBA careers. So like maybe he was the most financially secure and didn't quote unquote feel the pressure. Now I'm just totally conjecturing, but like
don't know.
He's like, no, I'm not paying your kickback. Sorry, and what's Terrence Williams going to do? I don't know. It's also weird.
His aggravated identity theft claim, that's basically he needed to shake down a guy. It was who was it? I wrote it down just because I didn't know. Oh, Supreme Bay.
Oh yeah.
I guess Supreme Bay didn't pay his kickback.
Who played college basketball in Memphis? Chris Douglas Roberts.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that. So he didn't pay the kickback, and then Terrence got smart, not very smart, got enterprising, and faked an email address from a plan administrator and shook him down for it. Not great. That carries us up to 2 years in prison. So these are not small things. I think there's an argument to be made that maybe it's a little bit victimless because there have been restitution's been made. Obviously they all have defenses. They're all innocent until proven guilty. Nobody's pleaded guilty yet. Yeah. So still at the very early stages. They did take many of them into custody, which, again, I'm not a federal prosecutor and I don't work for the FBI. I'm not sure why that's necessary. Maybe it's just policy. They always do it in procedure. Maybe it's because of the flight risk. These, are wealthy individuals.
So even when you say like flight risk, I thought that's one thing that also I think rubbed some people the wrong way. It's like, why are you putting these, like, they're pretty well-known people. Why did it said 16 of 18 of them are in custody? And it's like, are they you're telling me they're going to fly to a non-extradition country? Like they're going to stop, they're not giving up their lives.
They have kids. They have
yeah. So I thought again, that's another thing where it felt very strange. Like, why'd you put these players in custody? And also like that goes back to, I understand that like, this is quote unquote a big win. It's a publicity win for the feds to do this case, to prosecute this fraud. But it's also like the NBA obviously knew these were fraudulent. Why are, that brings me back to that. Like, why are we getting involved with the,
Sure.
They couldn't like the NBA doesn't have people who could tell Terrence Williams, hey man, you very clearly committed like fraud and, we don't want to put you in prison. Let's maybe stop. I don't know. But then I don't know what's right there. And lots of educated people will have different opinions on what should happen.
Sure. Could it be the leverage, right? We had the, speculating that there was an insider who was working with Terrence Williams on the scheme. Perhaps they got most of, the evidence from that. They come down hard. They want to get, the leverage to get guilty pleas quickly, and close it up and get the restitution paid. So it could be most of those things. I know, obviously, from following these types of things in the news, that federal prosecutors don't go to a grand jury and they don't seek indictments unless they can get a conviction. That's kind of like internal policy, or it's more likely than not that they would get a conviction. So that, they don't want to put somebody under indictment because it can really ruin their reputation if it turns, the person who's indicted. So they don't want to pursue that unless there's a very good chance they'll get a conviction. Here they have a mountain of evidence, and I don't think there's a lot of great defenses other than maybe not so much like mitigation type defenses, like, okay, that happened, but I paid back $350,000. So, have mercy on me, court, or, and you'll probably see some plea agreements pretty quickly here. I don't anticipate this going to trial, unless there's some other facts we don't know yet,
Well, is there any other thing you wanted to comment on about it? Or I feel like we kind of covered it. We're just guessing.
We are guessing, right? What a grand jury does is they look at evidence and they see, does it fit the violation of the statute? That's what happened here. They have GPS data, they have emails, they have the invoices. It's not great. I think that this will probably get resolved pretty quickly. And I would expect, hopefully, that they won't come down too hard on our favorite players. But I think the takeaway is they want to make an example of healthcare fraud, and maybe this isn't the best way to do that, but it's a high profile way to do that.
It's also the easiest. Yeah, definitely the easiest.
There's certainly other bad actors that they could.
It's a lot easier to get these guys who left this huge paper trail as opposed to like actual healthcare providers who,
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how the NBA handles this. I mean, obviously, these are some high-profile folks. And it's NBA champion, and
it's also going to be so weird for how like the Grizzlies franchise has to handle this. Like,
that was the thing that hit.
Because Tony Allen's got that retirement ceremony planned in late January, so his jersey's supposed to get retired in late January. He appears weekly on the Chris Vernon show. So like beyond our obvious concern for Tony Allen and his family and his wife, who was also charged. So like beyond that, it's just, the next lesser questions are like, what does the even Grizzlies franchise do? And does that jeopardize his jersey? It seems like it would definitely jeopardize the jersey retirement. So kind of a bummer, but anyway, thanks for coming on though. And trying to shed some light on it.
Yeah, if you have legal questions, I'm an actual lawyer.
Yes. Thanks, buddy.